It's already begun. People are already debating whether Vegeta is stronger than Goku as of the time placements of Dragon Ball Daima. Is there a new king in Dragon Ball Daima? Super Saiyan 3 Goku versus Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta is now a reality. Can you believe we're actually saying that? 2024, going into 2025, Super Saiyan 3 Goku versus Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta is an actual potential reality. This is wild. Anyway, in this video we're going to be discussing Ssj3 Goku and Vegeta, who is the strongest currently as of a Dragon Ball Daima timeline placement, which is obviously set a year after the end of the Buu saga. We'll also look at Super Saiyan 3 Goku from when it initially debuted in the Buu arc. And before I get into the nuances of this particular verse battle, I'm saying this to Vegeta fans, the Vegetards. The Goku Tards will always go after you whenever they have the moment to go after you, which is, let's face it, most of the time. This is actually your moment. That transformation in episode 12 of Dragon Ball Daima was exquisite. Obviously we know Dragon Ball Super occurs after this, so impactfully it's not that important of a transformation, but it was awesome. I kind of knew it was coming, but it was awesome. The animation was beautiful, but the portrayal of how Vegeta utilised that form afterwards was all-conquering, king-like. But Vegeta fans, this is not going to last long. I'm telling you, this is not going to last long. Make the most of this moment. Smash a like on the video if you thought that Vegeta Super Saiyan 3 transformation was awesome. But let's crack on with this video because I am going on a bit now. So, obviously we've got a Goku vs Vegeta hypothetical matchup, and we have loads of these throughout the course of Dragon Ball. Obviously starting quite close to the beginning of Dragon Ball Z when the Saiyans arrive, and then even in late Dragon Ball Super, we now have Vegeta with obviously a much more powerful transformation than Super Saiyan 3 with the God forms and Ultra Ego. So this Super Saiyan 3 business really is just a drop in the ocean, but ultimately, as the timeline placement of Dragon Ball Daima, who is the strongest right now in Dragon Ball Daima? Obviously I've scaled all of Super quite recently, at least the manga of Dragon Ball Super, but how would the Daima placement affect things? That's interesting. So, at the beginning of Dragon Ball Daima, obviously we've got plenty of statements by the narrator that Goku is the strongest in the universe out of all of the mortals. Of course, they're likely not taking into account the fact that Beerus will eventually arrive, etc., considering that it could be in Super's timeline placement. But of the known characters, Goku is the strongest. It clearly states that he is unparalleled. Now, I talked about this on my channel before, that obviously there's also Gohan out there, but this takes place a year after the Buu saga. And we know that Goku continually gets stronger because he always trains, he's got a warrior-like mentality, he's constantly on the ascendancy, whereas Gohan basically forsakes his training, focuses on his studies. He doesn't have that warrior mentality. We know this by now. We know he has the most potential, etc., etc., and that's come to fruition in the superhero movie yet again. And it does seem like BS sometimes, but the pretext is there, let's face it, from all the way from when he was a child. But ultimately, he's on the decline, and he's 1 year into that 4-year decline that we eventually see in Battle of Gods, where you could argue, based on the portrayal in not just the manga and anime and movie, he is arguably at Mr. Buu levels. And Mr. Buu, when you take into account that he's split from Kid Buu, isn't a very strong version of Majin Buu. Not even stronger than the Fat Buu that we initially saw in the Buu saga. But of course, this is not really about Gohan, it's in accordance to Vegeta, but the important point that I was trying to make is that it clearly states that Goku is the strongest. Now that's the narrator stating it, he's just stating the obvious, I guess, in terms of who is the strongest of the series. But there is a major question being put in doubt there, is that as far as the audience were aware, and in terms of the dramatic irony of this story, we didn't know that Vegeta has Super Saiyan 3. So, as of the Buu saga, at Super Saiyan 2, Goku and Vegeta were considered equals, as we saw when Majin Vegeta fought off against Super Saiyan 2 Goku. Now, we do know that Vegeta did get a bit of a boost with his Majin power, so you could argue that Goku had a bit of an advantage over him even in Super Saiyan 2, and that's why Vegeta needed the Majin power up, which probably wasn't that substantial, but it was enough to put him on par with Super Saiyan 2 Goku. Did he retain that boost after he died and came back to life? Quite possibly. There's no actual statement saying he definitely did or he definitely didn't, but I think it's probably likely that he did. So I believe that they are probably equals in terms of Super Saiyan 2s. Obviously, Super Saiyan 3 stated in Super Exciting Guys to be a 4 times multiplier of Super Saiyan 2, so that's quite a significant multiplier raw power levels over Super Saiyan 2, and Super Saiyan 3 Goku would wallop Super Saiyan 2 Vegeta, but Vegeta now has a Super Saiyan 3 transformation of his own, which would also, as per the Super Exciting guides, be a 4 times multiplier. Basically, it should really put him back on par with Goku. But obviously, there's been a year since the end of the Buu saga, so they likely have both continued training. They've now started training with each other, which is significant because obviously in Super we see them training together all the time. However, prior to the Buu saga, they never trained with each other. So them training with each other, given their rivalry, is likely going to be quite a significant boost in their training gains. Obviously they haven't been training together the whole time because Goku didn't know that Vegeta had acquired Super Saiyan 3, whereas even Bulma knew about it. It will be interesting whether she was watching or not, or whether Vegeta just, went back to the home and just was boasting about it. So the question is, I'm asking to you guys, who do we think would have gained more in that time of training between Goku and Vegeta in that time? I would argue it's probably going to be very similar, as we see throughout the course of the Dragon Ball story. Whenever they've trained together, when it's the same form versus the same form, Vegeta and Goku are rivals. There's not usually much of a difference, if any difference at all. They basically rival each other in power unless one character gains a transformation that gives them the upper hand, which is usually Goku, let's face it, and that's going to happen again this series over the next 8 episodes, because that's the fulcrum of this story. Whenever the characters need to find a new way to achieve a new level of power, it's usually Goku that does it, and he leads the way. He's not necessarily the strongest all the time like a lot of Goku fans think, but he does lead the way. He does break his limits and finds a new way to find more power. Then everyone catches up with him, some overtake him, and then Goku finds a new way to find a new level of power that the other characters don't have it within them to break those limits to find that way. So Goku does get surpassed quite regularly in the series, as much as Goku fans don't want you to believe that, and they'll come up with some ridiculous methods or means to say that he hasn't and try and base it on an interpretational argument that seems very outlandish at times, but he does get surpassed. Oh yes, he does. Is this a moment that he's been surpassed? Well, going off the logic that we've just been going off, obviously it does seem that they're once again on par with each other, despite what the narrator says. Even though it says Goku's unparalleled, if they've been growing at the same rate in terms of power, which is an answer we don't fully have the answer for, but we do know that Vegeta's been training hard. He's even managed to achieve a new form, even though he's probably seen it before and learned from it from Goku doing it. As we even saw, Goten and Trunks learned how to use Super Saiyan 3 as Gotenks because they'd seen Goku do it. So why wouldn't somebody like Vegeta be able to achieve that as well? As well as the fact that Vegeta's since then been fused with Goku, and in the fusion they can tap into the other person's mind and learn how to do things as well. We know this. But the thing is, they should be on par with each other. So what else can we really look at to see who is considered the strongest right now? Well, that's feats. Now, has only been 12 episodes of Dragon Ball Daima, and we've not actually seen Goku go Super Saiyan 3 yet. So obviously, the whole question of whether they can still go Super Saiyan 3 in these mini forms has been dispelled because Vegeta's done it. But because the author's been saying that Goku is unparalleled the strongest, you would imagine that he's referring to a hypothetical Super Saiyan 3 Goku. Now, it could be an adult version, but obviously they've been turned to mini, so the mini effect would affect Vegeta in the exact same way, and you'd find it hard to believe that a Super Saiyan 2 mini Goku would be stronger than an Ultimate Gohan. Even though Gohan's probably on the decline, it would still be hard to imagine that. I'm not saying it's not possible, I'm just saying it's not probable in my opinion. And I don't think the narrator mentions Vegeta in that equation simply because they don't want to ruin the surprise of Vegeta having Super Saiyan 3. The narrator isn't somebody who should be taken as gospel all the time. I'm not saying sometimes he shouldn't be taken seriously, because sometimes they are literally dumping information, but they can often mislead an audience for the sake of dramatic tension and irony. But at this current point in time, what we have seen is Super Saiyan 2 Goku and Super Saiyan 2 Vegeta fight off against the Tamagamis. Now, when Goku went Super Saiyan 2, he didn't really struggle against Tamagami. Now, there is a theory out there that the Tamagamis get progressively stronger, which in my opinion is just a theory. I've not seen any information alluding to that, so we'll have to wait and see. I'm not saying it can't be true, but I would want it to be stated that's the case before I run with it, but it could be true. However, Tamagami 2 did get powered up by Neva, or Neva, I don't know how to pronounce that, and became Super Tamagami 2, whereas Tamagami 3 from the third Demon World was basically just a regular Tamagami. I'm sure he can become a Super Tamagami as well, but he didn't in his fight against Goku. Super Saiyan 2 was more than enough to overwhelm Tamagami 3, whereas Super Saiyan 2 Vegeta seemed to be winning against Tamagami 2, but also was fighting quite well against Super Tamagami 2 until it went into the water, and that's when he started to struggle. There is even information alluding to the fact that when the battle went underwater, it actually started to favour Super Tamagami 2. So if we actually then multiply both of their powers by 4 from this point, then you would have to argue that in terms of feats and scaling from that feat, that Vegeta is actually stronger at this point. So by feats as of episode 12, Vegeta has better feats. However, Vegeta fans, whilst I'm saying use this moment, make the most of this moment, go as wild about this moment, it's a weak argument because essentially Goku can also go Super Saiyan 3, would also likely beat Super Tamagami 2, and if I had to be honest about it, I would very much expect them to both be at a very similar level of power. I think that is just the running thing with Goku and Vegeta now, until one of them gets a transformation that surpasses the other, and Goku is going to get a new transformation in this series. I've alluded to it enough on my channel now, you all know what it's going to be, let's face it. But one final part of the video, has Vegeta surpassed Super Saiyan 3 Goku levels from the Buu saga? And of course you could even bring Kid Buu into that, especially in the manga version where Super Saiyan 3 Goku and Kid Buu seem quite relative to each other. Well, Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta would have gone through the progression from that year's training, he's likely trained quite hard. Like I said, the fact that he's now training with Goku is actually quite a significant factor, so putting him against a previous version of Goku, I would imagine that in terms of raw power, especially as an adult, that he would have surpassed Super Saiyan 3 Goku and quite possibly Majin Buu from that time. However, he is now in a mini body and he's not used to this mini body yet, so there is that argument that you could swing back in adult Super Saiyan 3 Goku's favour, especially if we're going on slow creep theory. You can also use the Tamagamis to help scale the difference between the Buu saga and the Daima saga by looking at the fact that Dabra isn't as strong as even Tamagami 3, he couldn't collect any of the Dragon Balls, and Tamagami 2 went into a super mode thanks to the Namekian, so he got even stronger. So even a regular Tamagami wouldn't be that far off Buu Saga, Super Saiyan 2 Goku and Majin Vegeta levels. Mini Goku and Vegeta with their Super Saiyan 2 forms seem to be getting the better of the Tamagamis, with Super Saiyan 2 indicating that they have indeed gotten stronger. But as we saw in episode 12 of Dragon Ball Daima, Super Tamagami 2 actually defeats Super Saiyan 2 Vegeta quite easily. So Super Tamagami 2 would be somewhere in that gap between Super Saiyan 2 and Super Saiyan 3, which is a 4 times multiplier. So the room for manoeuvring in terms of power scaling in that gap isn't huge. So I do believe that mini Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta from Daima is actually stronger than Super Saiyan 3 Goku from the Buu saga, and if at least in terms of the manga, probably stronger than Kid Buu as well, in terms of raw power level. I almost say that with a bit of hesitancy and wouldn't say I'm diametrically completely for it, but it does seem to be alluding to that so far. So I know a lot of Vegeta fans going wild saying he's the strongest right now. What I would say is the feat is obviously a weak argument, I can see that, but as of right now, Vegeta's displayed the most power in terms of the timeline placement. Obviously we know Super Saiyan God comes later and that becomes a different story, but ultimately Vegeta has displayed the most power so far in Dragon Ball Daima because he should simply be relative to Super Saiyan 3 Goku in terms of raw power, given that the multiplier should be the same over Super Saiyan 2 and that they were equal base to base in the Buu arc, unless Vegeta's had faster training gains than Goku, which is an unknown factor, but he's displayed the most power. So what I'm saying is, these are all weak arguments. Vegeta fans, this is just your moment. Take it, go with it. Vegeta's the king right now. Sorry, Goku fans, you're going to get your moment quite soon, so you're going to have to deal with it. Anyway, guys, interesting discussion. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments section. Has Vegeta retook the lead? Is he currently the strongest? Is he unparalleled in terms of power in Dragon Ball Daima right now? Or do we think Goku with his Super Saiyan 3 form would match him, if not still be stronger than Vegeta? Drop your thoughts down in the comment section. I look forward to reading them. Until next time, Ad Astra.